The dawn of civilization. Primitive. Dangerous. Exciting. The handwriting is on the wall. If the human race is ever going to amount to anything, it needs
the most civilized caveman I have ever seen.
Look who's come out of his cave.
Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in. This is James from Cave Dweller Music. I am joined by my co-host Brendan, and today we have Chris Bentley with us from the band Night Goat. They're out of Canton, Ohio. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us.
No problem. I'm glad to be here.
For anyone who doesn't really know your music, what you do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do in the band, and what the band's about?
Sure. So I play guitar and pretty much, write all of the music for the band Night Goat. Night Goat's a band from Ohio, Northeast Ohio. We kind of run the gambit from different kinds of music. We tend to like heavier, darker, noisier type stuff. Not like traditional metal, more grungy, I guess, with death rock tendencies.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. It's awesome. Each track is kind of like a different mix of different influences. It's great to listen to.
Thank you. Appreciate it. That's what we're trying to do, is just incorporate all of the different types of music that we listen to and try to get it all to coalesce into a sound,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was listening to it. I was like, man, this riff reminds me of these guys, and oh man, this drum beat reminds me of that. And I was like, but these are such different bands. It's crazy that it's in one song. But I like the noise rock elements, especially. Like that makes it really fun and interesting.
Cool, I appreciate that. Yeah, the noise rock stuff is kind of like was the whole beginning of it. Of course, being Melvin's fans,
Awesome.
That's where we got our name from. So, just the noisier, end of like grunge music and stuff, it's what we grew up on. And, so just using like those bands as like the stepping stone to get further out there, and just other weird stuff.
It's I always appreciate having anyone on the show that's a noise rock fan, because a lot of people, I always thought there would be more crossover between metal and noise rock, and there's like less than I thought there would be. There's a lot of people have on, and like I'll mention one of those classic bands like Jesus Lizard or like Big Black or something, and they're like, oh, I've never heard of that. I'm like, what? Like, how have you never heard of that? Like, it's crazy. Yeah, it kind of shows the disconnect between metal and other genres sometimes.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, even around here, there's a lot of bands that are really into doom.
Yeah,
and I love all that stuff, but I also love basically early 90s, mid 90s noise rock stuff.
Me too. Yeah,
anything that Amphetamine Reptile put out was gold.
Yeah,
and Touching Records. You named one of my favorite bands, the Jesus Lizard.
Great band.
One of the greatest live bands ever.
I've never seen them live, unfortunately, but I love their work.
Oh, they're amazing live, just incredible. Even now, if you ever get a chance to see them, they're all old dudes, but they're still delivering the goods.
I just caught Unsane live on that national tour they were doing. Oh my God, they still got it. Like their live show was awesome. They just brought like this the amount of power and sound behind them on stage is just mind blowing.
Yeah, for three dudes.
Yeah, three older dudes. They just go so hard.
Yep, they are awesome, man. I would say they're a big influence on us too. Especially when we were first starting out. Unsane. Those guys, all those kinds of bands, Helmet. Those bands were a huge influence on us when we first started. And our first record kind of has definitely a lot of that going on in it.
Mm-hmm.
The new one, we tried to mutate, kind of make it more of our own sound, which is really hard to do these days.
It is, because everything's been done. It's really hard to stand out as unique. But I mean, sometimes I feel like bands try too hard to go in that direction. They like try as hard as they can possibly to sound different to everyone else, and sometimes it just doesn't work. You guys made it work
Sure.
because I feel like what happens with some bands is there's a disconnect between those influences. It feels forced, like it doesn't. It's like jarring the jump between different styles.
Sure.
I think it shows like I guess songwriting skill to be able to have those transitions between these vastly different influences without it feeling that way.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's a struggle to try to do that stuff. A lot of it for us, I think, has to do with just the different kinds of sounds we can get out of, different out of the guitars and out of the bass and everything.
Right.
And then the biggest thing I think for us is, Julia as a vocalist is just like over the top, man. I mean, she is just insane.
Yep.
So, and so that really, I think, pushes things in a really different direction.
Definitely. So with this album, for anyone who's listening who wants to pick it up, where are the best places to buy the album? I saw you had it on Black Donut Records and Doomshire Tapes.
Yeah, the album was released by Black Donut Records, which is a micro label out of Portland, Oregon. And Maury Strauss is the guy who's behind it. And he had contacted us a couple years ago to be on a compilation he was putting out, as well as a tribute album. And it was for a Sam Hain tribute album. And Sam Hain's like one of my favorite bands ever. And it's by far the best thing Danzig has ever done. And
Right.
So, we did that. And then we also did a Melvin's tribute album on his label. That was pretty awesome. And so when it came time to put this record out, we talked to him and he was interested in doing it. And he's been awesome to work with. And yeah, so the album's out on Black Donut Records. And you can go to his Bandcamp, the Bandcamp page there, and pick it up. That's probably the best way to get it. And then also it's being released on cassette only in the UK on Doomshire Tapes.
Okay.
Which is pretty rad too, And so it's like a limited issue cassette. So that's pretty rad. It's really weird for me because, I'm an old guy and cassettes were like completely going out of style when I was, a kid. And CDs were hot, and now CDs no one really even cares about,
Right.
It's kind of I think that was the comeback that no one expected, like the return of cassettes.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's such a strange format.
It is. Like the vinyl makes total sense. Like it's got the quality behind it. There's like a certain appeal to vinyl. I don't know. It's an audiophile's dream. Cassettes is just such an odd thing to become popular again that much later.
Are people like walking around with cassettes, or are they listening to them at home? Like Walkmans and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like what are they doing?
That would be rad if everybody was finding old Walkmans and using them.
Right. That's the thing is like it's hard. I think that stuff's, I don't know. I feel like if it's being made new, is it like really good quality, or is it cheap because like people just need to have a tape player for some reason,
I heard that there's like a new company's making cassette players now.
Yeah.
Really?
I haven't actually looked, like, because I haven't really, this is not how I listen to music.
Right.
So
I haven't looked into it, but someone told me that there's like cheap ones you can buy online now that like there's like companies making cheap cassette players again.
Wow. That's funny. The interesting thing about cassettes is that the music on, it's not by track, whenever you're listening to it. It's just one entire whole thing per side, Right. So that's it's all analog. So it's that's what's weird about it, and whenever we were mastering our album, the guy that mastered it for us, he's based out of Germany, and he kind of mastered it so that it would be, set up for analog formats. Whereas, if you listen to like the first 4 songs, they kind of flow in and out of each other, so that was like fortuitous that we did that, because we didn't even know we were going to release it on cassette. So it turned out pretty cool.
Nice.
That's awesome.
How did
Go ahead, Brandon, sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, how did that work out, getting the overseas deal?
It's strange. So, just through social media, on Instagram, I followed this guy who was, had this thing that said Doomshire Tapes. And I believe he actually started following us, and then I followed him back. But anyhow, he was commenting on our stuff, and it just kind of came out, hey, would you guys like to release the cassette over here? Kind of like just contacted us about it, and we were like, heck yeah, that'd be great. So that's pretty much how it worked.
That's cool that he contacted you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, man, awesome.
He was, checking all of our stuff out and stuff, listening to our music beforehand. So
that's awesome. I mean, that's the kind of relationship you want to have with a person putting out your music is actually a fan of your music.
Oh yeah, definitely. I have no interest in working with people who don't care about the music. I mean, there's tons of other bands and people that can be involved in that stuff. I'm good.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we have a couple of friends that own record labels, and some of them, the way that they do it is they put out the albums that they wish they could have bought. So if there's an album that they listen to, like, man, I want a CD copy of that. There isn't one. I'm going to put one out so people can have it. And I love that mindset.
Heck yeah, dude. That's great.
That's definitely cool. People do that.
Oh,
so,
for sure.
Are there any bands in the sort of like, I mean, it's not as big as it was in the 90s, but there's obviously a new wave of noise bands that have been continuing to put music out in the last 10, 20 years. Is there anyone that stands out to you from like that new sort of school of noise rock?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there's some really good stuff out right now. There's a great band from Chicago called Salvation.
Okay.
Who are absolutely, they're phenomenal. And I wouldn't say that their newest album is extremely noise rock. It almost has a garagey feel to it, but their previous album was just amazing. And then another great band, once again from Chicago, they're in Chicago now, but originally they're from Ohio, is Mr. Flies. Those guys are straight up noise rock, and they put on a fantastic live show too. We played with a bunch of these bands, just kind of happenstance. We kind of fell into it. A lot of the places around Ohio and regionally where we play at a lot, they'll hit us up. They'll say, hey, we've got this band that sort of sounds like you guys. You want to play with them? And we go play with them and then meet them and, hit it off because the music is, at least in the same ballpark,
Right.
How do you spell that band name? Is it just Mr. Flies as an Flies?
Oh yeah, it's spelled all wanky. It's
okay.
Mr. and then PHYLZZZ.
Okay, I'm glad I asked because I wouldn't have found that.
So it sounds like it's Mr. Phil's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found it. Great. I'm going to check that out.
Nice.
Yeah, those guys are great, man. They're just a 2-piece and they just slam live. And cool. Actually, Amphetamine Reptile put out their last record. It was like the first AmRep album out in like forever, like of a new band.
Right.
That's awesome. What did you end up checking out that Chat Pile album, God's Country?
Oh yeah, those guys are awesome, man.
Yeah, absolutely love that. I got some serious like Big Black vibes from that and Jesus Lizard stuff, but also mixed with a bunch of other influences. Like there's like sludge in there, like hardcore. It's all over the place. I loved it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's a killer record. I'm trying to think of some other stuff that I really digging lately.
Have you heard Dead Mammals from the UK?
No, I have not.
Yeah, check them out. They're really cool. They've got some great stuff going on.
I will definitely check them out. Yep.
So how far do you normally tour away from home? Like what's your sort of radius?
Oh, well, we have a tour coming up in July where we're going out all down the East Coast in Florida and then back up. And then, the furthest we've been would have been probably out to Chicago at this point, and then up and down the East Coast and stuff. Normally, we try to do at least once a month. We try to go out and do like a regional jaunt where we're out for like the weekend or whatever, and you can get pretty far, within 8 hours of Ohio.
Right. Is there any eventual goals of doing a West Coast tour?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, if we can get it organized, definitely. The big thing that seems to be handicapping us right now is just a lack of it's just really hard to book a tour, even when you're dealing with a booking agent. Like we have a guy that we're working right now, but for a band that's just kind of like at our level, it's just extremely difficult to get anybody to book it. And then also there's a huge lack of support, it seems like, in the cities where you're going to go to, of bands that will play with you.
Huh. That's a shame. That's sad to hear.
It's really bizarre, or at least that's what I'm encountering right now. We're booking this tour for July, and we're going to be out for 16 days, 17 days. And, we have all these places, that we've contacted, and I understand, the venues want you to try to help find a band from that area to play with and stuff, to get the support there.
Right.
But what we're running into is unable to find bands that will play with us, and
that's so sad. That's strange.
Yeah, it's really weird. I've toured in other past.
Sorry, is that a new trend, do you think? Or is that something you noticed recently, or has it always been that way? Or
yes, it's definitely something I've just noticed in the last few years or so.
Okay.
I was in previous bands and we toured all over the place, and we never ran into that, different hardcore bands or punk rock bands that, we were in. And yeah, we've never ran into that issue ever. There was always lots of different people, different bands just, down to play pretty much any time,
Right.
But yeah, I don't know whether it's COVID related or something. I'm just not sure what it is, but it's really, really made it tricky for sure.
Yeah, I guess it also depends on.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Brendan.
Oh, so I was gonna say it depends on too, how active some of the bands are. I guess I don't know. Right. I have no idea what they're going through. I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's there's a shortage. You wouldn't think that there would ever be a shortage of bands, but I don't know if there's a shortage of bands that are down to play on Tuesday night, or you know what I mean, or Thursday.
It's also a tough night to get out too, for for me as a patron, you know what I mean, and someone that's wants to go to a show, it's a lot. It's kind of difficult to be oh yeah, random Tuesday night to be out there,
Oh yeah, I get it, man.
Yeah, I think I saw Unsane on a Tuesday or Thursday, so it's a little tough, but I'm always gonna go if I want to see the band.
Oh yeah, me
right,
too.
Of course.
Here, I think the last time I went to see Unsane was on a Monday night,
right?
And and their crowd was still pretty decent, and it was an awesome show,
The good thing with those is because I live in San Diego, and a lot of the shows I go to the inner city type things. So for me, going on a weeknight means there's parking available without having to pay for a lot or something. So I'm always okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no doubt.
Brendan, did you have some questions you had lined up? I know you had some stuff you wanted to ask.
Oh yeah, so playing live shows and stuff you were talking about earlier. Where's your favorite venue out of state?
Oh my, that's a tough one. Gosh, I mean, I love playing in Pittsburgh. I mean, that's only 2 hours from us, though. But yeah, I love going over there and playing. Every venue we've played over there, we've had a blast at. Um,
Nice.
Pittsburgh seems to have a really good scene for like weirdo music, you know. Um, they dig just about everything that, you know, comes through over there, I think. Um, they like heavier stuff, you know. But yeah, Pittsburgh's awesome. Buffalo, New York is fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, we went out and played Buffalo. We played there quite a bit because it's like a 4 hour drive from here, so it's not too bad either. We went out there and played a few times. Particular venues, that's hard. I'm not sure. There's a lot of good ones out there.
Yeah.
You know, it seems like, you know, the ones that actually survived the whole COVID thing, you know, where venues were basically just dying left and right. You know, those venues are that are left are the real, you know, the real good ones, and especially in underground.
Right.
Definitely. Survival of the fittest.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, yeah. I mean, trying to survive at a spot that requires people, and then, you know, you can't fill it with people, like, it's tough, you know.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I know particularly in Ohio, man, whenever COVID hit and then you know, and it kept going on and on and on, that bars were closed down and venues were closed down. There were so many in Ohio that just, it seemed like once a week there, you know, there was like 2 or 3 that were just dropping off like flies, you know, all over the state.
Did places kind of buy out the property and take their place? Like, did new venues spring up, or did they just become something else?
I think those places are gone and there's not really anything else there now, you know.
Oh man, that's sad.
Sad,
Yeah.
you know. I know, like in Cincinnati, Ohio, there was a whole bunch of venues that basically went under. But awesomely enough, in the last year, then you've had all these other cool little, you know, like smaller type DIY venues pop up. Which
Yeah.
is really
Yeah.
almost like in a you know, almost like in a response to that, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the thing is, the market's always gonna adjust. If there's a demand for it, nothing's there providing it, someone's gonna start something or build something.
Right. And hopefully, you know, it's like the problems with the old ones and this and that are all kind of fixed, you know, or like whatever it could be, you know, like parking or this and that, you know, like hopefully people can from it from beforehand too, if they're like getting a new building, or not a new building, but updating an old one, you know, or
Sure, yeah.
anything. Or, I mean, you got to also, I guess, like, if you want to cater it to a certain type of like a venue for, like, you know, just metal and punk, or do you want to like have all kinds of shows there, you know, like you just don't want people to like trash your place, but you also want it to have a good inviting atmosphere for those people. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be a catch-22 for sure, you know.
I always think about how much fun it would be to own a venue, and then I think about the logistics. I'm like, absolutely not, never.
Oh man, it'd be such a pain in the ass.
So the amount of work you have to put in to keep those doors open is just crazy.
Yeah. You know, if you're like, you know, serving alcohol, you probably have to serve food. If you're serving alcohol, you probably have to like have like a, I don't know, like a no mosh pit rule or something crazy, you know,
Wait,
something stupid.
venues
You
by
know?
you serve food? I've never been. I don't think I've ever been to a music venue that serves food. I mean, the big stadiums, yes, and like the, you know, those sort of thing. But most of the venues I go to do not serve food. It's just alcohol.
Yeah, I guess it depends on like, I don't know, it might be a Connecticut thing, but like
Probably depends on
sure, like you have to have like offer some kind of food to serve alcohol.
Really?
Yeah, pretty much. I think in Ohio, every place, every single bar or venue has to have food.
Yeah.
Huh.
James, you're living like cavemen out there.
Hey, they're letting us drink when we want to drink.
And not offering any food, you know, like, oh my God.
We can also buy hard liquor at our Targets and grocery stores. So I think California has a different relationship with alcohol.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've never seen alcohol at a Target.
Yeah, you can buy spirits at our Targets. Like you can buy like a liter of vodka from Target.
What?
Yep. Or like it has a full alcohol section. Like Walmart sells alcohol, Target, Costco, all of it has booze.
Yeah, I mean at Costco I've seen, but I don't know. Target, I feel like I've just never seen it.
What about Walmart? Does Walmart in your state have alcohol?
I feel like it does. It might. Now I gotta look at that. I don't know. I never really go to Walmart.
Because I know like a lot of states they sell beer and wine and like cider and stuff, but I don't know a lot of states don't allow spirits to be sold in grocery
Yeah,
stores.
no, liquor has to be sold by a store, like a liquor store, a package store.
Not in California. You can sell at any supermarket with it as long as they have a license to sell it.
Yeah, like grocery stores and the like can sell beer and wine.
Right.
No, just beer. I think it's just beer here. I don't think there's a big wine selection.
Yeah. Yeah, that shocked me when I got to the US because in the state I lived in Australia, you couldn't even buy beer at a grocery store.
Yeah, a lot of
Wow.
places that you have to buy beer from a package store. So like you can't buy it at a gas station. Like I grew up in New Hampshire, and you could buy beer almost anywhere, any gas station really, and and special stores that are designed for it. And then same thing as like a state-run liquor store or whatever. But like the only restrictions I felt like were like nothing after like 11 o'clock or like 11:45 or something silly, and then like 6 a.m. or something like that. There was like a 7-hour window or something stupid where you couldn't buy booze.
You can buy spirits at 7-Eleven in California.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's and then like obviously like marijuana is legal and all that stuff. California is pretty chill with that stuff, I guess.
Yeah. Connecticut just became legal like 2019, I think.
Oh, really? It's not legal in Ohio, right? They haven't legalized anything there.
There's medical.
Okay.
Yeah. Connecticut just did that. Yeah, recreational. And then stores, I think, just opened up like just recently.
So if we're ever in Ohio, are there any like chain restaurants or anything we should check out? Like anything that's uniquely Ohio?
Oh my. Let me think. I can't think of anything. I tend to stay away from that stuff. So
Okay.
I mean, I always go for the mom and pop places.
Yeah, me too.
Greasy spoons, that kind of thing.
You have Culver's, right?
We have what?
Culver's?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. We had a few people on from like Midwestern states that have said that they have it in their states. I was wondering if it was in yours too. I've never had it, but apparently everyone's obsessed with it.
Yeah. I was have you been to the Thurman Cafe?
Yes, I have.
I was looking at their stuff over there. I was like, that looked pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of places that are more especially in Cleveland and some of the more northeastern cities are a lot of more ethnic food. There's a lot of Slovak and Polish people and people who migrated here from those European areas, and there's a lot of that food here, Italian, of course, and stuff like that. But there's entire villages and areas up in Cleveland that's basically all they have, is that kind of stuff, and those are the places to go. I mean,
that's awesome.
You can get some fantastic food at those places.
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking at some other stuff like that. That's probably where where Barberton chicken came from.
Oh yeah. Over in Barberton, they got the I'm trying to think what that's called, the white. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, their chicken over there is amazing. And that's like bias.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
You got any other questions, Brendan?
About food? I didn't actually about food, but I was gonna ask, when did you get involved with like writing music and playing guitar?
Oh yeah, sure. So I was in the army, and right after high school, and the whole time I was in the army, I was thinking about being in a band. And
Yeah.
so the minute I got out of the army, I had never played guitar. I had been in some punk rock bands and stuff in high school, but I just sang, basically just screamed, you know.
Yeah.
And after I got out of the army, I got a guitar and I just started messing around with it. And I never took any lessons or anything. I just kind of just self-taught, you know, just by looking at stuff online or whatever.
Nice.
And I think that that is a good way to learn, honestly, if you really want to do it, because you can come up with such interesting, you know, different types of ideas that way, more abstract ideas on a guitar than, you know, your typical, you know, four chord stuff, you know. So
Right.
like I wasn't like I usually don't sit around and worry too much about, oh my, this sounds like this or this sounds like that, or, you know, my fingers look cool doing this, you know. I don't do any of that, you know. I
Right.
just
Yeah.
I concern myself with how it sounds, you know. Does it sound interesting, you know? So, you know, that's basically how I started, and I've kind of kept with that, you know, ever since then, you know, as far as like guitar. And then, you know, over the years just writing songs and, you know, listening to all kinds of different music, because I think that that helps as well, you know.
Mhm.
Because even if you're not trying to sound like a band, you're still gonna, if you listen to the different types of bands, then you're gonna absorb that in some capacity, you know.
Right. Sure.
Like I have no interest in, like, you know, learning how to, you know, noodle around on the guitar and stuff, you know, like Steve Vai style or something, you know.
You're right.
You know, I would much rather just hear huge riffs that have interesting tonal qualities, you know.
Yeah.
We've talked about this a few times in our podcast with a number of guests, but we kind of think that technical ability doesn't necessarily translate to being a good songwriter. There's a lot of artists out there that are really technically skilled, but I find them incredibly boring.
Yep.
Me too. Me too.
And Steve Vai is one of them.
Absolutely. Yeah, a lot of that stuff, you know, it just seems like they're just showing off, you know.
Right.
And
It's for them. It's not for the audience.
yeah, it's more of, you know, and I run into that a lot of times with, you know, bands that I meet and stuff, and bands we play with sometimes, you know, where it doesn't seem like they, you know, are worried too much about the song, you know, or even for what people are thinking of the song. They're more worried about what they can do and show off, you know.
Right. Yeah, it's the wrong mindset.
Yep, I agree. A big influence for me too, guitar wise, like I discovered like Swans and Godflesh at about the
Right.
same time, and just listening to those guitars and this crazy stuff they would do with them, where riffs are, you know, repetitive, and, you know,
Yep.
but yet there's a quality to them where they're creating a mood and an atmosphere with that, you know.
Yes.
And that's more important to me than, you know, the other aspects of it, you know.
Hey, there's another band I meant to ask you about earlier. Have you listened to Uniform?
Oh, I
Yeah.
love Uniform.
Yeah, that's absolutely love Uniform. That I think it was the album before the most recent one was so good.
Yes.
Yeah.
The title, that was my favorite album of theirs.
Something about like the last day or something.
The Long Walk or something. Let me just check.
The long, yeah,
Like
yeah,
that.
yeah. I think that's it. The Long Walk.
The Long Walk. Yeah, that album was so good.
Yeah, that's a great band for sure. I would love to play with those guys.
They're interesting
Yeah.
because he can kind of tell that he came from a hardcore background, but then he just completely fed it into a noise rock format, and like just the amount of distortion and him just shouting over the top of it just makes such good music.
Yeah.
Yes.
I got to see them live, and it was cool to see. So they had, like, you know, full band, and then he was just like messing with like whatever it was that he was like, the noise machine, I'll call it. I just don't know what the hell it is, but he kept, like messing with that a little bit. It wasn't like a computer. It was like, I don't know. It was some freaking box with like, I don't know, maybe like pedals or something. I have no idea, man, but it was really cool. It was really cool to see. Yeah.
There's a guy from San Diego. I'm not sure if you've heard of him, called Author and Punisher.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's super cool. I saw him live for the first time last weekend, and he's an electrical engineer and he builds his own equipment. So he has all this completely unique stuff that no one else has that he's kind of like made and invented. And he's got like his setup on stage is like a huge rig that wraps completely around him. And yeah, he just has some absolutely crazy industrial stuff going on. Really, really cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, there's this one machine. I really don't know what it is. I wouldn't take a guess, but it's like a big slider and it has a panel with a handle on it. And it looks like it slides along a bunch of strings, like a string instrument. And he slams it like from one side of the bar to the other, and it just makes this massive like crushing sound. It's just cool. Check out his him on YouTube for some live footage. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard? I mean, obviously, you're from Connecticut, right?
I am, yeah. Or I live in Connecticut.
Have you heard Intercourse?
Intercourse. No. Yeah. Just when I do it myself, but
they're from Connecticut. They're amazing. I'll
check it out.
And they have that whole thing where it's like it's coming from a hardcore background,
Oh, nice. Oh yeah. I'll check it out.
And they're funny,
There's a bunch of really cool bands from Connecticut.
Oh yeah, for sure. We've had quite a few come through, coming through Ohio and just using this as a stopgap to get to like Chicago or whatever,
Right. And you should check out, if you haven't, When the Deadbolt Breaks.
When the Deadbolt Breaks? That sounds cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I think you'd like that. It's pretty cool stuff.
I will definitely check it out. I love listening to new bands and checking new stuff out.
I would say probably like my favorite modern noise rock album of all time is Annabelle Dream Reader by the Witches. Do you know that one?
Oh yes, that's good stuff.
The thing with them is like they never, like, that was like a lightning strikes once thing. Like everything they've done since has not been the same, and it's like driving me crazy because I keep getting excited every time I bring an album out. It's just not the same as the first one.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. There's just like, that's the perfect fusion of like noise rock, psychedelic, and surf rock. It's so groovy, but it's so like heavy at the same time. I listen to that like once a week.
There's a couple other bands that I'm really into that just was thinking about that are doing stuff right now. There's a band called Vincas. It's spelled Vincas, and those guys, I believe, are from they're from North Carolina. No, those guys are from Atlanta, Georgia. And then another great band is called Wailing Storms, and they're from North Carolina. And both those two bands have this really cool, almost birthday party thing going on.
Oh, nice.
And it's Southern Gothic, but like then incorporating noise rock into that. And
what was the second one? What was the second one called again? Sorry.
Wailing Storms, like Wailing Storms.
Yeah.
And both bands are just phenomenal, and I would highly recommend checking those guys out too.
Yeah, I'm looking them all up now and putting them, saving them for later. I'm always looking for more stuff like this.
Yeah, and they have like this really cool. Both bands have like this really cool birthday party thing going on, like a Nick Cave type thing.
Yeah.
Without being, without ripping them off or anything, they're doing their own thing too, and they have like this American Southern Gothic thing as well. That's just, it's epic sounding. I love it.
American Southern Gothic.
Yeah, I love.
I'll never complain about a band imitating the birthday party.
Oh, me either, dude.
Brendan, have you ever listened to that, Brendan?
It doesn't sound familiar, and
it's Nick Cave stuff before he did the Bad Seeds.
Yeah, no, I don't think I have.
It's awesome.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I actually like it better than the Bad Seeds stuff. I mean, I love the Bad Seeds, but the birthday party stuff is so much more visceral and just mean, you know.
Yeah. It's a weird transition for him to go from that to the Bad Seeds. It's so different.
I'll have
Yeah,
to check it out.
and I've seen some like awesome stuff on YouTube too, of footage of them when they were in their heyday.
Oh, really?
Their shows are just some of their shows were just chaos, and it's so awesome. See Nick Cave out there rolling around on the ground and doing like his Iggy Pop thing.
We were talking about this the other day with someone else that came on the show that in the 90s there seemed to be like a anything goes for a live show type vibe where bands were just kind of like crazy and dangerous and chaotic, and I feel like that's not really a thing anymore now.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm trying to think back in the 90s, I saw, bands constantly in the Midwest and stuff. And all these shows seemed like a lot of these shows seemed like almost like dangerous to even be at,
Right. Exactly.
I saw Laughing Hyenas in
Oh, wow.
in a tiny little place up by Toledo, Ohio. And I didn't even know what I was going there for. My friend took me there, and it was one of the most frightening experiences at the time. Oh, I was like, holy shit. These guys are going to murder everybody here.
I've heard Butthole Surfers were absolutely wild in the 90s as well.
Yeah, I saw them too. And Gibby came out and with a shotgun and literally shot a beach ball
Jeez.
with a shotgun at a show. Now, can you imagine like that going on now? People would lose their. He would be in prison.
There's like a ton of stories about him. Like I think there was one with like blood packs where he pretended to be like murdered on stage and stuff, and everyone freaked out. And then like things like him coming out completely naked, jumping into the audience. Yeah, just always something.
Yeah, and you can see a lot of that stuff on YouTube as well, like old Butthole Surfers shows. And there's especially like the early ones, when they had like all this weird strobe light and like sex dolls and shit on stage.
Yep.
Some of that stuff is just insane,
Right. I remember like even Red Hot Chili Peppers, like Flea used to play naked. Like, like nowadays you can't do that.
No, definitely not.
Get sued or arrested or something.
We definitely try to bring some of that danger to our live shows. I think it's our singer Julia, my wife. She channels something when she's doing live shows. I mean, you guys can hear it in her vocals on the albums and stuff, but live, it's almost like she's possessed or like an exorcism or something.
That's awesome.
Sometimes it's a little frightening, look over and see her eyes roll back in the back of her head and shit,
Well, as soon as you guys do the West Coast show, I'll be there to check it out live.
Yeah.
Brendan, I noticed we're coming up on time. Do you have any questions left?
No, we kind of answered it just through talking.
Cool. In that case, I've got two more for you. One's a bit of a tricky one, and one's a super simple one.
All right.
The trickier one is if you were trapped on a desert island with a solar-powered Discman and 3 CDs to keep you company until you get rescued, what would they be?
Oh my God. Unsane would be one of them. Scattered, Smothered, and Covered. That'd be the album.
Yeah.
I love it. Sam Hain, Initium. I love that record too. And I would need something a little bit spacey, I suppose.
Balance it out.
Probably Swans. I'd probably pick a Swan from like their maybe like Great Annihilator or something like that.
Okay.
I love that.
Swans is fantastic. Some of the stuff's a little hit and miss, like later in the career, but their early stuff's pretty untouchable.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. Like there's this really great era of them, and then they kind of dip down, you know,
Right.
and then in the last few years, some of that stuff has been,
To
I
Be
saw
Kind.
them a couple years.
I really like To Be Kind and The Seer. That was like a bit of a return to form, I thought.
I agree. The Seer was amazing.
Yeah. And but for me, like I always end up listening to like Filth, and I do like White Light from the Mouth of Infinity as well. Children of God is some great stuff too.
Yeah, I would say White Light is one of my favorites, and Children of God. I love Children of God.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. Some good tracks on there. Brendan, are you a Swans fan?
I've listened to a few Swans albums. I wouldn't put it to the forefront of my stuff, but yes, I appreciate that for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely something, because I've shown Swans to like literally everybody that I'm friends with, and out of like 20 people, you'll have like maybe 3 that are like, oh, this is cool. The rest of the people are like,
This is really weird, man. Why are you playing this for me?
all out shit, man.
Yeah, I 100% appreciate it. Definitely.
I know that reaction very well, though. Like, you like this? You really like this? Okay.
They're like looking at you, like put you on a list, like don't go in the car ride with him. Yeah.
Don't let him near the iPod at the party.
Yeah. Band.
Yeah, I used to be in this punk band, and we would tour and stuff, and I would put in some weird shit every now and then, like the Jesus Lizard, or even the birthday party in Swans and stuff, and these guys would just fucking hate it.
Yeah.
Social Distortion or Agent Orange or something.
I never got behind Agent Orange. Just didn't. Oh wait, do you mean the album or do you mean the band? Because I like the Sodom album, Agent Orange, but I don't like the band.
The band, Agent Orange. Yeah, they would. I played in this punk band, and they were always listening to like Agent Orange and Social Distortion, and just a lot of that stuff, which was cool, whatever. But if I put on Jesus Lizard or anything bizarre or weird at all, they would be like, come on, man.
I do have one song I want to actually recommend for you because I just thought of it, and I know you're going to absolutely love it, given what you told me you listened to. Have you heard a song called Pure Mode by a band called Model Actors?
No.
Yeah, okay. Definitely check that out.
Right now.
Yeah, it's Pure Mode, and the band is spelled model/actors, but it's ACTRIZ.
Okay.
I listened to that like 8 times in a row when I first heard it, and I think you're gonna dig it.
Very cool. I'm gonna check it out here after we get off here.
Cool.
Yeah. I was thinking. Oh, sorry. I was going to say real quick with all the orange talk. Did you ever get into Orange 9mm?
Oh yeah, for sure. I actually saw them. I saw them with Helmet, and they were really, really good band live too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like a lot of that. I like a lot of the hardcore stuff that crosses over into noise rock.
Yeah.
Me too.
I enjoy that stuff a lot.
Cool. Well, the last question I have for you is, if people want to follow you or listen to your music, where are the best places to do that?
Probably Spotify is the easiest, and our Bandcamp page. I mean, we're all over everything social media wise. You can find us everywhere. Just look up Night Goat, and it should be on YouTube. It's everywhere. Anything online. And then please buy the record from Black Donut Records, because that dude rules.
So basically, I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming on the show, and we really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
Yeah, thanks for donating a song too.
Yeah. Actually, that was something we forgot to mention. The Mind of a Metal charity sampler, by the time this episode comes out, will have been released, and there is a track featured from the band. I think I'm gonna check which one it was. I think it was.
I think it's the second one off their new
Ghost Sickness.
Yeah, I felt like that was a good one for the compilation for sure.
Awesome.
Nice.
And if you're looking for the track, it will be on Volume 2 of the sampler.
Awesome. I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, that's we're really excited about this one. It's going to be 70 tracks, 2 volumes, and the album art was done by God damn it,
Tommy.
Brendan. Tommy is it, what's the last name?
Wilson.
Yeah, I'll cut that out. I forgot. Done by Tommy Wilson, who's done art for like a bunch of grindcore and power violence bands, including Infest, which is really cool.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's rad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we're gonna get a long sleeve shirt mocked up.
Yeah, there will be merchandise going with this one. So, and then all proceeds, of course, go to 2 mental health charities, one in Europe and one in the US.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that.
Yeah.
I love
So
that.
everyone listening at home, thank you so much for tuning in, and come back next week. We'll have another guest for you.